Hey everybody, this is Tyler Dockery, and I hope today is treating you well. We're coming to you from a slightly different location. Um, the sound doesn't ever seem to be working out, and it might be this blue snowball microphone that I have. In the past, a lot of the work that I have done has always been with a headset that's right in my face. And occasionally that has had a bunch of problems when I'm doing voiceover work or other materials because it's right there. So anything that would normally set off the pop filter just destroys the content. So, for instance, if you hear someone saying sibilance, the letter S is the harshest tone for microphones. Put down the taffy, tubby tammy, put down the taffy. Like all those things that really hit the pop filter and destroy them. I don't have that here where I'm at. So trying to use these different microphones and see if they're any better. It's difficult. What can I tell you? So today we're talking about feelings and how to find yourself in the right spot. So specifically, what is it like when you feel overwhelmed? Um, I am a person who has ADHD. I'm a person who, if you were to look at my fingernails, you'd notice they're chewed all the way down, who has a lot of anxiety. And the feeling of being overwhelmed is a very real concern. It can feel like there is a heavy weight crushing down on you. It's not a decision. Do you need to make a judgment? Do I do this or do that? But it's more in line with an idea that there are so many things to do that I don't even know where to get started. And the easiest thing to do when I feel that overwhelmed is nothing. The easiest thing is to do nothing. I know that if I get started, it will be so much work that it's better not to get started. And this is why if I have to clean up a very large mess, it may take multiple days, or I will think it will be very easy, but then I will have an OCD that kicks in and I have to look over every single piece of paper before I make the decision. What do I want to keep and what do I want to throw out? And how important is this piece of paper? And most of the time I find that if I keep a stack of papers, I move it from one location to the next. By the time I get around to looking at it, none of those papers are important anymore because I didn't strike while the iron was hot. And that's a real problem, and it's beginning to become more of a turning point for me in my life. There was a time when I was younger when I felt I could do everything. I could do everything on my own. And then as time has gone on, I don't know if the projects that I have are bigger. I just have less energy. I have less scope of what it is that I feel I could actually get away with. But more things these days, I would rather pay somebody to have it done and save the time than I would to do it on my own and save the money. I'm never going to get any more time. Ever. And especially finding out with my mother dying here recently that I never had the time to come down here. She's a 13-hour flight from my house to here. And while we did visit occasionally, there might have been 4 or 5 years that went by that I didn't visit. And there may have been 4 or 5 years that have gone by I haven't seen some of my friends because I've been caught up in my own life. But time is something that you never get more of. And so if I pay somebody to do that work and it gets done fast and it gets done right, I can have some more money, but I'm not going to get that time. When I was younger and didn't have any money and only had time, I had one situation where I had worked for a company and then I had gotten laid off. And everything was very amicable. And then I worked for a person, and we worked for 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week. And then I became a senior partner in the design firm. And then over time, as the 2008 bubble burst and all those construction companies dropped off the map and the housing bubble burst, I went from slower and slower and slower time to just not having any work during the week, and I had to leave that company, start my own company. And my own company did fine, but I found that I was getting farther and farther away from the design process. The more you search for clients, the less design work I would actually do. And that was a real opportunity for me to just sit down and say, I think I've reached the point where I can finally go teach. I know enough. I've hired people. I've fired people. I've run a business. I've done freelance work. I've worked for big clients. I've done work pro bono. I've done work for free. I've worked for charities. I've got a really good idea of what the marketplace is looking for. And I had an opportunity to apply for a job as a teacher. And when I sat down, it was very clear what I needed to do. I needed to go back and work on my website. My website needed to be completely done with a fully formed online portfolio of work. Every piece that I would show in my portfolio, plus a couple of extras, so it would look like my print portfolio was nice, but there's one or two special things online to show I've been doing more. My print portfolio, I needed to have a really nice piece that I could give one to every single person that was at the interview, and I didn't know how many people would be there. I needed to be able to decide, did I want to have a book that they could splay open one spread at a time? Or did I want to have something more familiar to a 4-year graphic design school where every plate was something you could set out and have everybody have a look at? I wanted that to really impress people right off the bat. I also needed to have professional photography done. I needed to rewrite the content that was in my material. I needed everything in my portfolio to be freshly printed and looking nice. And all of that coming down with the idea that I had probably 2 to 4 days to do all that, gather all of my work, make sure that it was all print ready. That was so much for me to do that I would just sit at home and not do anything. A half an hour would go by and literally not one thing would be done because I was just so nervous and I had so much on my shoulders. I was so overwhelmed. But when I feel like that, what has always helped me is talking to another person. I find the person who gels with me. They have the things that I don't. And when I sit down and told this person, hey, here's what I need to do, they said very quickly, okay, here's the list. You need to take a new headshot photo. You can't do that right now. You need to rewrite your text. You can do that with voice dictation. You need to print these pieces out. We need to think about what you can do that's going to make each one of these mini portfolios look good. Maybe we could do something that had your name on it. And like he asked me a couple of quick questions and I said, yes, let's use frosted vinyl. Let's get my name on there. Let's do all, and just laid out all the steps that I wanted us to make sure that we did. And just talking with another person and putting together a list of things that I had to do while businesses were open, things I could do when I'm not going to bed until 2 or 4 in the morning, what it is I have to do when I get up at 6 or 8. All of these things were very straightforward and cut down into a list that I could follow. And I was so helpful. The other thing about talking to somebody if you're overwhelmed is they can help you. And you might feel, and I often feel this way, that you don't want to ask someone for help. But the thing is, when you ask for a favor, that person becomes committed to helping you, and they are combined with you. And when you succeed, they succeed. And when you ask someone for a favor, you're actually doing something nice for them because they see that you need help and they have the skill and the ability and they're willing to give it to you. For instance, one of the people who have subscribed to my podcast started saying all these really nice, helpful things to me. And when I went back and looked at his stuff, Chris, good job. I saw in there, he said, hey, let's go and be nice to people. Let's subscribe to their podcasts and see what they did. He didn't have to do that. But he did that to help me. And it gave me the boost to move forward and continue. And if you're out there, you can snip that little bit and put it in your piece. Just thank you. That was really, really very helpful to me. But when you ask people to do something, hey, please subscribe. Please give me a comment, even if it's negative. It really helps me. That's an opportunity for us to help one another, to give just a tiny little bit. And it can mean so much, and it can help so many people so much. So a lot of times when I'm feeling overwhelmed, the thing that I need to do is just tell someone, I feel overwhelmed and here's why. Here's what I have to do. And more often than not, people want to help you. Sometimes they just want to say, hey, that sucks. And sometimes that's what we need to hear. But sometimes they say, you sound like you need help. Would you like my help? And then they're all in. And that just means so much to every single person. And just like when someone would ask you, would you help me? You would help your friends hands down in a heartbeat. But it means so much. All right. So then another question we have here is, how do you feel about emotions? That's a tough question. My family comes from all over, and so we have a German part of our family, and we're a Scandinavian people, and we feel you should be very stoic about what your feelings are. You should put those things aside. But then we also have a very heavy Irish component that says you should take your emotions, compress them, lock them away, and then someday you will die. And just not have to worry about your emotions. And I've got to say, I lean more towards that way. I don't like to feel feelings, period. Big bad guys like Darth Vader, they are in black because they have a hold over their emotions. Their emotions do not rule them. I would like to be that way. One of the things that we do in our classes, and I would heavily suggest that you just think about it here for a second. What is your favorite color? And then what is your second favorite color? For instance, my favorite color is black, and my second favorite color is orange. in every culture, we have color psychology. This color means something. So, for instance, in American culture, blue means trustworthy. So you'll find a lot of software companies and a lot of banks use that color to show that they are trustworthy. Big corporations, big blue. You can trust us. Right? The color psychology of your favorite color is what you want to be. And the color psychology of your second favorite color is what you really are. So, black is a color of strength. It is a color of unity. It is a color of control. It is a color of emotionless behavior. It is a color that is a strong unification of elements. I would love to have control, especially over my emotions. I would love to feel that I was separated from my feelings, that I could look at things clinically and do the right thing every time just because. You know, I like songs where they say everything's going to be all right. That's weird, but that's kind of what I like. I like things where you make the right decision every time. I love books where the hero makes the right decision, even if it seems wrong. Emotions are something that you cannot hold back. It is where art comes from, and I dig that. But I wish I had more control over my emotions. I would rather be more robotic and lenient than constantly trying to keep a hold of myself. I don't know how you feel, but have a look into the color psychology of your favorite color and your second favorite color. See what that can reveal about you. My second favorite color is one that is fun and exuberant and festive and exciting. It is a color that grabs attention. Many people feel, because I am a loud introvert, that while most of the time I don't talk, when I do talk with the group, I'm excited, I'm interested, I tell them I know they can do it, that they've got this, that, that I believe in them, that I want to help them, that this is going to be great. Whereas if I had my druthers, I would just say the semester's going to be fine. Everybody's going to do wonderful. We've got this. Let's make it happen. Where I was not constantly being grumpy. I would love it. That's what I want. All right. Anyways, down in the doobly-doo below, you'll find links to the person who did this original, a way that you can pull the first 30-day talking to the camera challenge subject, so you can do this on your own. You don't have to pay. You just go get it. I looked at a course this week that had this for $400, and it's a text document. Just please, if you think that this will be helpful to you, use it. Take a feather out of the cap of Mr. Brogan, and do go ahead and find some new channels that are just trying to get started and give them that positive vibe. I have appreciated. I hope you will appreciate it also. Help others. It's a great way to go. Thank you all very much, and I want you to have an excellent week. Thanks.